You could walk through these woods 100 times and miss it completely. You'd think you were just surrounded by trees. But step a yard off the dirt path, and the earth breaks open right beneath your boots. This is Ludd's church. Don't look for an altar, stone arches, or stained glass. There is nothing holy here. It is a jagged, raw tear in the bedrock, stretching 100 meters long and plunging 5 stories into the cold dark, swallowed by the forest floor. Down here, the air changes. It turns heavy, smelling of rot and ancient stone. The temperature drops like a stone. Don't play it for laughs, just let it sit there. For centuries, this suffocating trench wasn't a landmark. It was a hiding place for people who had nowhere else to run. People who had to choose between the cold mud of this chasm or a rope and a blade on the surface. This place didn't get its name from old stories. It bought it with terror. In the early 1400s, if you didn't pray the way the king ordered, you were a heretic. The Lollards, ordinary people who just wanted to read the Bible in their own tongue, were hunted like wolves, dragged to city squares, and burned alive. So, they came here. They turned this damp, miserable ditch into a secret church. A man named Walter de Ludauc brought his followers down into this freezing mud at the dead of night. Imagine standing here in total darkness, shivering, holding your breath, trying to pray while your chest stays tight with fear. The stone walls deadened their voices, but they couldn't save them. The king's men found the entrance. They swarmed down these very steps with torches and steel. In the blind panic that followed, men were beaten into the dirt, and Walter's young daughter, Alice, was shot through the chest as she tried to claw her way up the rocks. Her name was Alice. That's all the record says. The old stories say her ghost still screams in the wind, up there. But the reality is much heavier. The cold stone of this ditch simply soaked up their blood and their terror, and it never let it go. Long before the heretics bled here, this place sheltered men who lived outside the law, entirely. Robin Hood. His name has been softened by centuries of retelling, turned into ballads, into pantomime, into something almost cheerful. But the men who whispered that name in the 1300s were not smiling. They were running. Local tradition holds that Hood and his men used Ludd's church as a refuge from the king's foresters, the men who had the legal right to kill a poacher on sight. And when you stand here, you understand why. You can be 5 feet from the edge and see nothing but grass. Step closer, and you vanish. The forest swallows you whole. This is not the Robin Hood of stories. This is a cold, dark hole in the ground that desperate men crawled into to stay alive. But there is an older shadow over these rocks. Centuries ago, an anonymous poet, writing in a dialect spoken right here in these hills, described a place called the Green Chapel, a mossy, cursed hollow in the wilderness, a place a knight rode to, alone, knowing he was riding to his death, to meet a giant executioner with a green axe. When you stand at the bottom of this slit and look up at the walls closing in above you, you are not reading a poem. You are standing inside it. The Victorian writers knew this. They came here on purpose, not to admire the scenery, but to sit in this cold gloom and feel something the daylight world could not give them. They put what they felt here into their ghost stories. Some of those feelings are still here, uncollected.
What you are standing in is a wound, not a wonder. Thousands of years ago, the entire hillside split apart. A massive, unimaginable block of gritstone tore away from the main ridge under its own crushing weight, sliding down just enough to leave this deep, jagged fracture in the Earth's crust. The sky can be blazing hot, but down here, the air stays trapped, damp, freezing. It's a thermal prison. The humidity never leaves the rock, which is why these strange, sickly ferns grow here, and thick, weeping mosses, things that have no business living in a normal English forest. The walls hold the winter cold like ice, locking the moisture, the rot, and the history in a permanent, freezing vault. Ludd's church doesn't care about the tourists who walk through it today. Not hostile, indifferent. That's colder. It remains what it has always been, a hidden scar on the face of the Staffordshire woods. It is a cold, silent vault that the earth built for the broken, the hunted, and the forgotten. If you ever find yourself walking down into that green twilight, watch your step, and remember that the heavy silence down there belongs to the people who came here to hide, to pray, and to die.